Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that's finding itself having to fulfill an unfortunate promise that we made on the show last week. My name is Tosin and I am your host up in Birmingham, somewhere in the Midlands in the UK. And joining me as usual on the Isle of Wight this week.
Yes, Isle of Wight, yep.
Yeah,
indeed.
it's Shaun Harris. Who,
Hello.
Shaun, before we started recording, I told you that, I had some bad news, and
Yeah.
the bad news that I have is related to the promise we made last week. You might not remember it, but we did make a promise on the show last week. And because it's out there and people are actually responding to us now, somebody might have heard that promise, so we might actually have to go through with it. And joining us from London, our London correspondent is Holly Neslin. Hello, Holly.
Hello.
It's been a couple of weeks, probably about a month since we've had you on here. Yeah, because as we said earlier, you were too busy off somewhere having a life.
Get that and working. But
Well, I'm paying for said life. Okay, we're having a life and paying for said life. So yes, it's good to have you back. We do not have Shaun with us today because after a couple of weeks of persuasion-infused excitement, Shaun has decided to go have a lie down in a dark room. Yes, so Shaun, because obviously the first 20 minutes of the show for the last couple of weeks has been spent talking about Persuasion and the fallout from our review of Persuasion. Do you remember the promise we made last week regarding Persuasion?
You were... I don't actually. I've got to be honest, Toes. I'm sorry, mate.
No problem. We both said, because we didn't think it would happen, we didn't think that this would carry on going. We said that if our original Persuasion review on YouTube hit 500 views, you and I would watch the film.
And it's hit 500 views.
It's sailed past 500 views.
Oh my goodness me. Oh well, okay, I better see it then, haven't we?
Yes, I know. So you and I, you and I have to go see it. And
Okay.
I'll tell you the thing that I am actually most scared about watching it. It's not that it's going to be a bad film. What I'm most scared about is that I will watch it and I will not agree with Sharon.
Yeah. Not hate it so much.
What I'm most scared about is that I'll watch it and not hate it as much as Sharon does. Because I'll be like, what? I've never read the book, so
That's it. Because sometimes when you hear conversation umpteen times is when you hear so many bad things about a movie, you see it, you don't think, well, it's not quite that bad.
Yeah.
You know? So well, you go in expecting the worst and you think, well, it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
But we shall have to see anyway.
I think if you're doing it, I should bite the bullet and do it as well.
You're going to do it as well, yeah? Okay.
Okay.
I can't leave you two to suffer alone. Well, in company.
But that's the thing is, are we going to suffer? We don't know. This is actually quite freaky. This is actually really, really freaky because I was thinking that by now we would be done with this thing. But now we find ourselves, because we said something stupid on the podcast last week, we're going to have to keep it going a little bit longer. And I'm really scared that I'm not going to agree with Sharon. And if I don't, I'm just going to... Anyway, never mind. But speaking about people who don't find Persuasion that bad, this is, I think the Persuasion feedback is dying down. It is going away. But we had Logan Mackenzie Frost, who seems to be the lone defender of this Persuasion movie. So far, they've been I'm not sure if it's a guy or a woman or anything, but so far they have been the lone defender on our comments. And I want to, because there's, as explained last week, there's a Persuasion ecosystem on YouTube, and I've seen that they have been going around to different people's video reviews and actually posting that, well, I didn't think it was that bad, pretty much almost that. So we spoke about Vanessa Nisley, who got in touch with us, Vanessa Nisley, to thank you very much, to say she told us that we pronounced her name right on the show last week. So yay us. Yeah, she got in touch with us. She said thank you for that. And she said thank you for the shout out. But so she actually went to that review, and she also said, I don't see what's so bad about this one. Why is everybody talking that? Why does everybody think Jane Austen is good? And so she has got in touch with us this week in our usual feedback corner, which is becoming a regular thing. And because I put up a third video on Persuasion called Still Not Over Persuasion, because we kept getting feedback about it. And she says, awesome video. That's on the video that I put up there. Seriously, people are still complaining about this. I am way over it. I'm still trying to decide if it's worth it to read the Jane Austen books. I tried reading Persuasion, the book, and it's so slow. And I get to the end of the page and I'm like, what did I just read? This book is super hard to understand. How is one supposed to read it? And also, why do people like the writing and language of the Jane Austen books? Because, read more, they are just also super hard to read. I tried the audiobook, but that was just boring to listen to. I would love to read the classics because I haven't read any classics, and the Jane Austen books are not making me want to read any classics. So please explain to me how I'm supposed to understand these books. How can a person read Jane Austen for fun and still understand the writing and the language? Now, I typed up a long answer that essentially boiled down to, hey, it's not for everybody. That's what I said. I was like, no, everybody has to like everything, and that's what makes the world interesting.
Yeah.
So, but also we're talking about Prey, which we reviewed last week. We reviewed Prey on the show last week, and I know after Sharon and I reviewed it, Shaun, you went to you watched it this week. Not Holly, you also watched it this week. So we're going to have a section later on where we do this sometimes where somebody's seen the film, someone else sees the film, and then we come back and we say, well, this is what I thought about it. You were talking total rubbish. Or whatever it is. We're going to do that later on, so we'll talk about Prey. But on our Prey review, Logan Mackenzie, it's hyphenated, she says, I think maybe she starts off every review like this, or every comment like this, but any comment to us anyway, she starts off with, awesome video! And she says, I am also so I'm trying to watch Prey with the Comanche audio and English subtitles, but I can't find it in audio and subtitle language in the audio and subtitle language in Disney Plus. Also, what is the best way to watch this film language wise? Now, I don't know about you, but I know Sharon and I, we just watched it vanilla. We just watched it in English as it was presented with us, with the occasional subtitles when another language popped up. That's where I watched it, and although I love the fact that they have Comanche. There's a Comanche, I think it's a Comanche dub. Oh, there's a Comanche version of the film. I really, really like that. I think that is a great sign of respect to the language and the culture that this film is set in. So, but I have to admit, I haven't played with it. I haven't played with it because I just about had enough time to watch Prey. I didn't have time. I think the days where I had time to play around with, what's the setting on this, and what's those days might be gone. For a while at least.
I can figure it out if I have time.
Okay, cool. Holly, you figure it out. And then you let Logan know how to get the Comanche thing with English subtitles, and we will go with that.
Write it on a post-it note.
All right. So that is it. Thankfully, the Persuasion furore is dying down a bit, but not before it made us have to watch it, Shaun. So. So let's see. Oh man, we might have to go read the book as well, so we fully understand Sharon's ire about it. But let's get on to talking about films this week. Let's get on to talking about films that we're actually going to talk about this week. So on this show, what we do is we go to the cinema and we see as many things as they'll let us. Usually we try and see about 3 things a week. Holly has written that down on the post-it note. She is going to try and figure out how to get Comanche audio and English subtitles on Prey on Disney Plus. And so as I was saying, we go to the cinema, try and see about 3 things a week. We stay at home, see at least about 3 things a week, and we rate them all out of 5. And then we figure out where money has been better spent this week. Now, this week, for what seems like the 5th week in a row, there's hardly anything new in cinemas. There's only really one thing new in cinemas, and that is Nope. So today, on the cinema side, we have Nope. And Nope is going to be the big representative of cinema and all of cinema, and is going to fight against Netflix and its streaming things all on its own, all on its lonesome. So, Nope. Shaun, you've seen this and I've seen this, right?
Yes, that's
Holly,
it.
you haven't made it yet to see Nope yet.
No.
Oh.
All right.
Nope.
So, Shaun, nope. So, Shaun, should I kick off with what this is about?
Yeah,
or do you want to take it?
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, you do this one, Toes, and then I can give my reaction. I normally like to give a reaction in the plots.
You're like, Shaun's like, I don't like being objective. I just want to... All right, cool. Let us give ourselves 10 minutes on this because 2 of us have seen this. Let's give ourselves 10 minutes to talk about Nope. Right, so Nope, this is the 3rd film from director Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, who was mostly known as a comedian. He had a TV show called Key and Peele, where he and Keegan-Michael Peele did a whole bunch of Keegan Michael Key, he's Jordan Peele, did a whole bunch of sketches. And if you can find, I mean, it's actually on Amazon Prime at the moment. Amazon Prime, it's a good sketch show. It's one of those really, really good sketch shows. I think it's hard to find a good one. But, so he did Get Out, he did Us, and now he's done Nope. And this is the third one. He's become a big name in horror, especially horror with an undercurrent, where it's a horror film on the surface of it, but it has, like, some sort of contextual, societal, what's the word I'm looking for? Commentary going on underneath it. And in this film, Nope, what we have is that we start off with a family, and they run something called Haywood Hollywood Horses. So they run a ranch and they train horses to appear in films and all that. And you get to see this family, and at the beginning, you have the father, and he's talking to his son, and he's talking about, we've got to make a really good presentation, because if we get this contract, it's going to sort out our whole thing. It's going to sort out our family, and it's going to sort out everything that we do. So they're trying to survive because their business is in trouble. Then something happens. There is some weird event where things start raining from the sky. There is a little bit of a tragedy, which I'm going to try and not spoil, because this is kind of film where you can spoil a lot by saying a little. and so there's some kind of tragedy, and you find out later on where they're still trying to get this business going, and it's like the son, there's two children, the son and the daughter, and they've sort of taken over the business, and they're trying to get this thing going, and there's problems, and they can't really get it going. They don't have enough money, and they might have to get rid of some horses. And while all this is going on, something weird starts happening at their farm, starts happening at their ranch, and while they're figuring out what's weird about this is something that's scary? Is this something that they should run away from their homes from? Or is this something that we should... They realize that there's something dangerous going on. And the rest of the film becomes a case of one of them wants to leg it and just wants to go away and just wants to abandon everything. And the other one goes, hang on, something's dangerous going on, but this might be our fortune. This might be this could be the making of us. And so they start trying to figure out ways in which to... Pretty much, it's kind of like, in my head, it's kind of like they want to sort of capture this thing and sell it to a tabloid. It's kind of, that becomes their thing. That becomes their goal. Their goal becomes, this is how we're going to help things. This is how we're going to save the ranch. We're going to, whatever this thing that's happening that we think might be dangerous, we're not sure exactly what it is yet, but we're going to capture it on camera. We're going to capture it on camera, and then we're going to sell that, and then that's how we're going to make a whole bunch of money.
We need the shot.
Yes, and it's all about getting this shot. It's all about getting this shot.
Yes.
It's all about getting this shot, and once you get that shot that is like irrefutable evidence that what we're saying, what we think is happening is actually happening, then we can sell it to your TMZs, and we can sell it to your Hollywoods, and we can sell it to, and that's going to be our fortune. And that is basically the premise of the film. It's about them trying to find this thing out and find out if there is something there, if it is dangerous, and if they can catch it on camera. And that is the plot of the film, and I hope that that's not spoilerific as to anything. So, I'm going to stop there. Shaun, what did you think?
Okay, well, the bit that intrigued me was the bit that really, really intrigued me, and I probably would have liked to have known a little bit more about, was the TV scene, the flashback scenes. Yeah. So I found that bit quite interesting. I couldn't really relate to the characters in a strange sort of way. I couldn't really. They didn't. Normally they're really good, but they didn't. I wasn't convinced. I wasn't totally convinced. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot. It feels like there's a lot in there, to do with, and loads and loads of references to many, many, many things, which I'm probably still trying to figure out. The last time I was trying to work this out, I think was Mother, but yeah, so it's similar along those lines, but it didn't really, really grab me, and I would have liked to have known a bit more about the flashback scenes, about the TV show. Because there is, as we said, Jordan Peele. He usually has other things on his mind whenever he makes a film. It's not just straight up horror film. There's some societal commentary that's on his mind, and he has a whole bunch. And there's a whole bunch of things that people have talked about. This saying, "Oh, it's about our addiction to spectacle. It's actually like a treatise on Hollywood." I've got to be honest. I did not get any of that. A lot of the reviews that I've read, I'm like, "What? How did you?" What do you mean talking about Hollywood? They're like, oh, this is a blockbuster that asks us, why do we keep looking for big things in blockbusters?
I didn't get any of that.
No.
I thought for me it was more of a treatise on like, you know, on reality TV.
Reality TV, maybe sensationalism about
Yeah,
you know,
like
like
for instance, you know, you've
some
been
of the
framed.
things that some of the things that we're in, you know, that will grab people as things sometimes that are not really the, should we say, the nicest things, you know, but it grabs the attention and gets loads of media coverage because of the nature of what it is. So, and I'm
like
sure there was
Love
a lot of
Island.
reference to that. Yeah, like Love Island. Yeah.
Like Love Island. Like for instance, Love Island. I was listening to, if you find it on, there's a series called, like a podcast series called Unreal on BBC, on the BBC Sounds app, and gives you like a critical history of reality TV. And they talk about reality TV and they say, is it like, you know, the lowest form of entertainment, or is it the thing that tells us the most about ourselves as human beings? And I can see that argument, but I am more along the lines of Love Island is going to, it shows that society is destroyed. I know I'm definitely more on the, and I feel like there's more in this thing that made me start thinking about reality TV and about what people will do to get on TV, and about the society that says if you do this and you get on TV, you've got this. And there's a bit where it becomes this. There's a scene where there's somebody on a motorcycle in this film that very much sort of like directly talks about that. Talks about the kind of like gossip magazine culture that we have.
Yeah.
There's a scene in that. But I'll tell you that, Shaun, what you were talking about, saying about how there's all sorts of stuff in this film. It reminded me a bit in a film that we disagreed on, a film that you loved and that I think is massively overrated, Mad Max Fury Road. In that, when I was watching Mad Max Fury Road, because when you mentioned Mother as well, I had a similar thing where I was like, I'm going to be thinking about this film for the next couple of days, aren't I? I'm going to be thinking about this for the next couple of days, trying to figure out exactly what was going on. But with Mad Max Fury Road, I remember watching that and I remember thinking, there's a whole world in here that somebody who's made this film has figured out everything in this whole world and has a whole bunch of things, but is not telling you what is going on in this world. And I figure that I think Jordan Peele does something very similar with this film, where he has a whole bunch of things that he's put in there because there's this world, there's just this stuff happening, and it's kind of left up to you to try and figure out what he's getting at. There's a bit. The film starts off, as you said, with a scene on a sitcom that was in like the 90s or something. It's like a TV sitcom that's filmed on a stage, and it starts off with something bad happens there. Obviously, it's a horror movie. Something bad happens and it starts with that, and they keep coming back to it, and that is one of the, you're going, okay, you finish watching the film and like, what was the point of that?
Yeah. That's
what were they trying to say with that? I mean, everything that happens in it is intriguing. Everything that happens in it is engaging. But you're like, how did that link with the big story? And then we find out about this thing that happens later on in the main story about the ranch, and this is something that might be dangerous on the ranch. So I thought I think there were some really, really great shots in this film. There was one particular shot where I don't even know how I can describe it, but okay, Shaun, you've seen the film, so I'll say it's the bit where after they have the show where they have the horse in a box and everybody is waiting to see what happens. There's a scene after that. It's mostly red. And that scene is haunting. It's actually like a bit, oh my God, is that what's going on here? Is that what this film's about? Oh.
Yes.
And
which is in some strange way, I believe that in some strange way is related to the TV show. I don't know why. I just said
there's definitely a link.
There's a connection there, but
there's a connection there, but it's not. it's like, what was going on here? And I think the film doesn't really show itself as a horror movie, although there's one particular shot where somehow a whole house gets bathed in blood. And that shot is almost kind of like, like a Dario Argento type thing, where you look at it and you go, this is a very blatant, we're making a horror film here. but apart from that, a lot of the film I don't think is that much of a horror.
I don't think it's that much of a horror. It is. I mean, there's some bits in it which I don't know are red herrings. I mean, shall I just mention Shoe? But anyway,
Shoe.
Shoe, yeah. So it's like, it's like Wow. Wow. That's bizarre. Anyway, yeah. So
Okay, so that's the 10 minutes, Sean.
right,
So
okay. That went quick. That went quick.
it does.
Yeah.
So now but we've tried our very best not to spoil it. This is a kind of film where, as you can imagine, we could go on and we could probably do like a 4-hour discussion about
definitely
how about this, how about that, how about that. But we're trying to tell you about it in 10 minutes. But the main thing is, would we recommend that you go watch it so that you can get involved in your own 4-hour discussion about exactly what this film's all about? Yeah. How many stars would you give it, Sean?
Okay. It was really intriguing, and there was a lot to think about, and there was a lot in there, but it didn't really grab me. So I don't think I can stretch to a 4. I think it's going to be. It was okay, and it was interesting, and there were bits in it that I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think for me it's a 3. It's not. There wasn't enough of a wow factor. Some parts did seem to drag out a little bit. You know, there was a few moments where it was like a. So yeah, so for me it's a 3-star, and for me it's a 3-star. By the way, there is a bit of a tenuous link with the character in the background. Michael.
Yes,
yeah, you probably know the film and the actor, but do you?
I actually forgot about doing the.
That's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
I forgot about that.
I thought on this one because.
Okay, all right. Oh, we'll do that afterwards. Let me give my.
Okay, sure.
Let me give my rating. So with me, I think that this was, because I expected us to disagree on this film. I really did expect us to disagree on this film, and so there's been more agreement than I thought. And I thought about it and everything, and I agree with you that the characters are almost a little bit distant. I mean, Daniel Kaluuya in this film. Like the first scene almost the first scene he shows up, the bit where they're on the Hollywood set with the horse and everything, his character, I was just kind of like, why are you like that? That's just annoying. It's like, oh, you might be introverted or anything like that, but it's just annoying right now. It's really getting on my nose.
Yeah.
And so you had that. I mean, Keke Palmer, her character is a bit more engaging, I think. But yes. I know what you mean. There's a bit of distance. There's a bit of distance where I don't particularly think you end up caring that much for the characters.
That's it. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, you're not really bothered. Oh well, if something happens, then you're not like, oh no.
Yeah,
one way or the other.
You don't really end up caring for the characters. You're like, okay, get out of the way. I just need to figure out what's going on. Get out of the way so I can figure out what's happening in this film.
No emotional investment.
I don't think you get that emotionally invested in the characters. I've got to be honest with you. So, but in the end, I think it just about slips into a 4 for me. It just about slips into a 4. I mean, although I agree with you, and I think we've had the same battle. I think we've had the same battle as to it, but I've just about slipped into a 4. But it's an only just thing. It's an only just thing. So that is it for that. So all in all, 3.5 stars for Nope. But the main thing is go watch it yourself and get involved in your own 4-hour conversation as to what this film actually is. What is this film? What does it mean? What the heck is going on? Right, and now that is cinema section going on. So the next we're going to go to Netflix and its streaming friends. And Holly, because you have been patient enough to sit us prattling about something in which we probably told you nothing about it because we didn't want to give you any spoilers, we'll let you fire off with what you have seen. And you have, I recommended something a while back and you went to watch Raw on Apple TV Plus. So do you want to fire off and tell us about Raw on Apple TV Plus? What is this?
And I'm going to start by actually reading the IMDb description because I think actually that's an easier way to then ease into it. So ultimately, it's an anthology series, and it is described as an insightful, poignant, and sometimes hilarious portrait of what it means to be a woman today, featuring a unique blend of magical realism, familiar domestic professional scenarios, and futuristic worlds. It's an 8-episode series where every episode focuses around, and I think this is sort of the description of it's been described elsewhere as being a sort of modern fables, almost sort of fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it's these eight episodes of different stories focusing on different experiences and representations of things that are the experience of being a woman. One that jumps out to me is called the woman who was kept on a shelf.
Oh yes, yep.
Yes, the woman who was kept on a shelf, which is, without going into any detail and spoiling it, about a woman who is kept on a shelf.
As in the literal sense.
Sure. Let's put it this way. Every episode of this is called "The Woman Who Blah 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 Blah
Okay.
Literally.
Right.
Literally.
Okay.
Like
cool.
in the write up, they go the woman who's literally. So the titles of these episodes are very literal.
Yeah,
like when they say this, that literally happens.
Wow.
So there is.
How long are the episodes, Holly? How long?
They are half an hour.
That's not too bad then.
So the first one was the woman who disappeared. The second
Yep.
one is the woman who ate photographs.
Yep.
Then the third is the woman who was kept on a shelf. Then we have the woman who found bite marks on her skin, the woman who was fed by a duck, the woman who solved murder, the woman who returned her husband, and the girl who loved horses.
Yes.
We have one girl, all of the rest are women, and they're interesting allegories, I suppose, for want of a better word.
Yes.
And they are very insightful, and they examine a particular. It's not just a female experience, though many of them are female experiences, but some of them are around race, or certainly the race, sort of, female feminism intersection.
Yep.
And they're quite fascinating. The cast is brilliant.
Yeah, the cast is top rate. Cast is absolutely top rate.
I mean, amongst others, Nicole Kidman and Merritt Weaver, who I'm,
Yeah, Merritt Weaver's amazing. You've got Issa Rae, you've got Cynthia Erivo, you've got the lady who was in The Hunt.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Shaun, I said that specifically for you. She's the woman who was kept on a shelf, literally.
Yes. Betty Gilpin.
Yes, Betty Gilpin. That's it. Yeah.
And Mira Sayal, who is the
she returns her husband.
Let's see. Yes. So yes, Merritt Weaver was fed by a duck.
Yep.
Nicole Kidman ate photographs.
Yep.
It was Cynthia
Erivo.
Called Ambia.
She found bite marks on her skin.
Oh no, she found bite marks on her skin. Sorry, yes, Alison Brie is
the woman who solved her own murder.
Yeah.
So Holly.
Issa Rae who disappeared.
Issa Rae is the one who disappeared. Yeah.
She was so good.
Yeah. Okay. So Holly, I originally saw this because I remember when Raw was released, and this was before I got my access to Apple TV Plus, and so I went to watch it, and after watching it, I was like, I can't talk about this without a woman being present. I think Shaun's had some connection issues,
but he doesn't tell us anymore.
Yeah. So and I was thinking, I can't talk about this without having a woman present. I cannot. I feel like if I was to review this, because it's talking a lot about the experience of being a woman, I feel like there's going to be a lot of missing the point if a man comes and goes, well, I'll tell you what I thought about the woman experience. So I asked you, I said, I need a woman. So what did you think about this in its entirety? What did you think about this show?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was the odd episode that I was less keen on.
Yep.
But as an overarching experience, I found it fascinating.
Yep.
In many cases, amusing.
Yep.
Insightful.
Yep.
Troubling. I definitely laughed a lot at some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it was sort of chilling viewing, as it will sound odd, the woman who was fed by a duck.
Yeah.
Really, that one gets under your skin, I would say, and to some extent, yes, the woman who was kept on a shelf is
and
the woman who disappeared is
Yeah, I mean, I think the woman who disappeared. I think it's yeah. It well, okay. First of all, one of the problems I had with this show is that I thought like I know they say the woman who blah 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 literally, and it's based on a series on a book that's by Celia Ahern, and
Yeah.
that is a similar kind of thing. But I thought that a lot of the because obviously you got all these titles, they're metaphors. They're metaphors for what happens in women's. But I thought that they were very, very first base. Like I always thought that okay, like oh, the woman who was kept on a shelf. I thought this is okay. This is the starting point, and then we're going to go somewhere with it. But I found that a lot of the episodes didn't go past that starting point. It's a woman who's kept on the shelf. She was kept and so I'm like, okay, cool. I can kind of see where they're going there. I can understand. Okay, a woman is kept on the shelf, or that she's kind of like a trophy and everything like that. Okay, I get that. But then you watch the episode, and I'm like, oh, that's all it is. That's it's like it doesn't seem to go past the first base. And this is why I wanted to speak to a woman because I'm like, I think I might be missing something here. Because I'm thinking, I feel like it didn't go past the first base of what this was about. The woman who found the bite marks on her skin, and
That
the
that I found was quite interesting in in some of what it unpicked.
yeah, I still felt it was first base. I felt like it's kind of like with almost every episode, I feel like they made their point in the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of the episode, I'm kind of like make another point, but no, it was just the same point being almost labored, and and this is why I was like, I want a woman's point of view on this because I feel like there might be sort of like lived experiences that you have every single day that invest how you go about doing this. Like the Nicole Kidman episode is like, oh, am I a mom or am I a daughter? The woman who found bite marks on her skin, can I have everything on? What's that going to take from me? And I just yeah, and this was the problem I found with them. I just kept finding them a bit first base and not really going anywhere.
I think
But
sometimes that's almost what one needs, though,
okay,
is that the I'm trying to think that now episode one was the woman who disappeared, and you progressively saw it coming,
yeah,
but each of them you saw a resolution in general.
yeah,
And whilst the problem itself may not be wildly complicated, I'm sort of thinking this through as I say it.
yeah,
The problem itself, the premise is, I may have a cat joining me shortly. The premise, it may be relatively simplistic, but it shines a light on something that is in and of itself both simplistic but
complicated.
and you, to some extent, you almost need to not complicate things. And it's not the best thing I've ever watched, and we'll deal with scores and everything else, but I think actually because so many things are complicated layers in life that
Yep.
you don't very often get something that is a pure sort of isolated Max is joining in now.
Yeah.
Isolated view of a single, relatively speaking, a single issue.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm sort of investigating what I think of it as I speak here.
Yeah, no, but it is that kind of thing. I think the creators more than anything else want to make you think.
Yeah, and I think it made me think, and I it's continuing to make me think.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit first base to me. That was the thing. Although I have to agree with you, my favorite episode is the woman who was fed by a duck. I don't understand the title. I don't understand what that has to do with anything, but the story that it tells and about how someone can get drawn into a toxic relationship. I thought that was the one where I was like, okay, you're actually giving me something a little bit more than the first.
But I think it's because of the bizarrity of many of them, because they are so fantastical and ridiculous, that you are able to focus on. And that's the thing about fairy tales, is that they take you out and help you look at something in a different, see an issue in a different context. It's sort of the same view I have about a lot of sci-fi and fantasy writing, is that you see real life issues, but you see them represented in a different sort of environment, so you can focus on the concepts with taken away from your own you're taken slightly further away from your own innate biases, which we have.
Yes.
So
all right. So we've come to that time. We've come to that time. Not to sort of like, reinforce the point of Raw and being a man telling a woman to stop talking and give me a number. But,
I remember off this once, but don't do it again.
Okay, fine. But how many stars would you give Raw as a series overall?
I think it's a 3.5 because, and I know we're a bit iffy about halves, but given the woman who was fed by a duck is an absolute 5 for me, and I can't remember off the top of my head which ones I thought were certainly to a 2 or a 1, but so I think on balance probably a 3.5 reflects the.
Shaun, you're looking to say something.
I was just going to say, perhaps what you should do, the pair of you sometimes, like me and Tosin do with our animated series, is maybe do it episode by episode and then get yourself a good average, because that works pretty well, I think.
I was gonna suggest that Holly and I, we get together and we do one of our, I think we call it episode by episode. That's what we're gonna start calling them. Episode for anthology series. We do an episode by episode thing, because each one of them is pretty much its own small film. Its own short film, and do that. Although, Shaun, I would say, if you're going to watch this, the episode that I think you will both love and also get annoyed by is The Girl Who Loved Horses, the final episode, because that is all a Western.
Oh, yes. Right. Okay.
The whole thing is a Western, and there's bits. What I was watching this, I was like, "Ooh, Western! Shaun will like this." But also bits of it, I was going, "Oh, Shaun will like that." Like it might set off Shaun's "why would you do that?" or "hang on a second, how does that make any sense?" sort of radar. It might set it off, but I think that would be if you're going to watch one episode, watch The Girl Who Loved Horses, because I think you would quite like that one. All right, so 3.5, and I was expecting from that you would go a little bit. I was thinking it was going to be a 3.5, because for me, I would probably give it a 3. I'll give it. I'll give it.
Shift up to, because I've just been glancing down the list of episodes again and thinking, actually, no, I do think it's a 4.
Yeah.
Because I think on balance they pretty much all sat at a 3 or 4, except for one which I didn't really enjoy as much.
All right, cool. Which one was that?
I didn't particularly like The Girl Who Loved Horses.
Yeah.
It didn't resonate.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautifully shot. It has a lot of Western tropes in it, but at the end you're like, what? and it's one of the few ones where the title of the episode has almost nothing to do with what actually happens in the episode.
The one I most enjoyed was probably the one that made me smile the most, was The Woman Who Returned Her Husband.
Oh yeah.
And The Woman Who Solved Her Own Murder was quite fascinating in many ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to do.
We'll do an episode by episode thing. That's for another time. But for now, let's go on to the next thing on streaming, and that is going to be Shaun. Shaun has been now. It was Shaun's turn to sit down and be like, all quiet and all patient and get knocked off with Zoom and then come back on. So now, Shaun, the question is, it's up to you. You're going to talk about the War of 1812, which you saw. And I think it was on Freevee.
I actually watched it on Freevee, because I was doing with the stick, and I just thought, oh, there's a free season. But I see it's also on most of the streaming platforms. It's actually on most of the streaming platforms, I think. So you could watch it with it. The thing is with Freevee, it's quite interesting because
this is Amazon. It's kind of like it's a version of Amazon, but has ads.
Ads, yes.
Everything on it is free. I don't think you don't even have to have an account to watch it.
No.
But it just has ads. So.
Yes. And it says, and it lets you know when they're coming up. Yeah. So this, I'm really into my documentaries, especially anything to do with military history. So this one was a 4-part documentary about the War of 1812, and it's a war that isn't really covered much in a lot a lot of places it was where we went to war with the USA, and we basically it was where America decided, well, things were going on in Europe with Napoleon and what have you. It was decided, the Americans decided, oh, this might be an ideal opportunity to find some sort of excuses to invade Canada, and maybe we can take part of Canada. So the excuses they used were British ships were stopping American ships and taking the soldiers, taking the sailors on and impressing them, and also the Indians were up in the we should call them the First Nation. The First Nation were up in Canada, and so the Americans decided they might take advantage of the turmoil that was gone in Europe and make a war, and then try and make a little excursion or a couple of excursions into Canada. So basically, it's a documentary of the battles, and the first couple is about America's, because I mean I don't know huge amounts about this war. I know we burnt the White House. I know we burnt the White House. That's right. So the beginning of the war was where Americans made incursions into Canada, and basically it was an alliance of Canadians and some British soldiers and a confederation of the First Nation tribes under someone called Tecumseh. So, and they repelled the American attacks, and it was a bit forward and a bit backwards. And so the first two sort of concentrate on the start. The second episode is about some of the battles about Canada. And then as it gets towards the end, obviously the Napoleon sort of finished doing his things in Europe, and this which frees up British troops to come across. Hence, that's when the White House got burnt. And it was decided in the end, the Treaty of Ghent, which is quite knowledgeable. But of course, it wasn't known in the States until about 12 days afterwards. So there was a big battle. There's the big Battle of New Orleans, which is famously, is one of the American victories. And so we celebrated. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes, Andrew Jackson, all that. So, and it was cut with. They would have like the people narrating like diaries of so the characters would be people dressed up, and they'd say, yes, well, I was, I could see all my friends were being so so it's interspersed with people with what experiences, real life experiences, and then a bit of history. And they showed there was a few blurred out scenes of some of the battles, which were obviously from different movies, which I noticed was probably like Waterloo, but it's all the same period, so it was fair enough. And what's interesting is in this War of 1812, this is when America started to build the decent ships. And you know that famous film Master and Commander?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Russell
that
Crowe,
actually
Paul
takes
Bettany.
place, yes. In the book by Gilman, that is actually the ship that is French in Master and Commander in the book is actually an American sloop, which are very fast and very shot. They shot the but because it was an American movie, they couldn't have a American ship. So
they couldn't have the American ship be the bad guy.
But anyway, back to the documentary. So you've got, it documents the battles, the people's experiences. You've got a lot of characters, and it explained quite a lot to me. It was really, really informative.
Welcome to NEP.
It was really, really informative, and I thought it was excellent. I really, really liked it, because sometimes some of these documentaries can be a bit, especially I think they call them docudramas, don't they? Some of these docudrama type things. It wasn't quite in that vein but it was.
Where they reenact stuff. They reenact stuff and
they reenact stuff. So you could see, and obviously they used real reenactors, because I mean reenacting is huge around the world. American Civil War, Napoleonics, the English Civil War with the steel nut. So obviously, and you quite often find in a lot of these documentaries they do use the history.
Well, essentially, it'll be the history buffs, because
this is for history buffs. Yes.
Yeah, the people who will go and spend a weekend dressed up like it's part of the American Civil War, and or we're the red coats, we're the blue coats, and everything like that, and they'll go and spend a weekend in it's a form of LARPing, almost like live action role play, where they'll go there and they'll do the whole thing, and those people are knowledgeable about their subject. They know it because they live this stuff and they love it. So it makes sense to involve those people.
Well, as I say, I used to do it myself. So if I can remember next time, I'll bring up a picture of me when I was. I've got a few. Yeah, I've got a few pictures. And
okay. Quickly before we get.
Before we
get the star rating. So what scenarios or what battles was it that you reenacted?
Well, I was in a organization called SOSCAN, the Southern Skirmish Society, which was American Civil War.
Oh yeah.
I was Federals or Union, whereas most people wanted to be. It's really funny with these reenactment societies. It's like the Roundheads and Cavaliers. Everybody wants to be a Cavalier because they're all like flashy and showy and nice, and and nobody wanted to be a. So
and let me guess, did the Cavaliers win?
No, they didn't. No.
Oh, and everybody wants. Okay, that's
the English. We're talking about the English.
The
sealed knot. Yeah, no, the Cavaliers were for the Royalists, but they were all the plumes and all the lovely. Now in
good hair.
Yeah, in the American Civil War, the Confederates were all like they've got, let's just say they've got the more colourful characters. So
yes,
if someone was reenacting, the Confederate troops would generally outnumber the Federal troops, when in real life it was totally the other way
around. Yeah.
But yeah, so, and it was, you camp out, you go for a weekend. We even used to do, the last show was a show called Bath, and it was the American Museum in Bath, and an American admiral would come and give you, if you did 25 shows, they'd give you a so yeah, so I'll try and find some photos for you. But yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so star rating, what are we talking?
Okay, I really like this. I thought it was really, really good, really informative. As I say, even the sometimes I can get bugged by people saying, where they get like a
talking head.
A mid shot of someone saying, "Well, I remember the time." Do you know what I mean? And
I remember Betty, my wife back home, who was waiting for me with her 4 kids, and I would write to her every day saying, "When I get home, we'll build that house."
Yeah. That's it. Yes,
he died. Just so you know, he died.
So yeah, but no, I really enjoyed this. In fact, I binge watched this one because it was that good. So the 4 episodes, they are about an hour each. But yeah, no, I really like this. 4-star, this one.
Oh, 4-star for the War of 1812.
Yes.
Is that where the 1812 overture comes from?
No, the 1812 is Napoleon's retreat from Moscow. So, and that's, if you hear that, it will go bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
They're the cannons firing. So, and that's when 1812 was when Napoleon was basically defeated, and then there was so that freed up. That freed up
the army to go to America.
To go to America and fight the Americans. So that's when the White House got burnt. That's when we started to do some bad things to the. Whereas before 1812, it had been very much a defensive battle, very much to stop the Americans taking Canada.
It's like, I'm like, what? You mean historically the English went and did bad things in other bits of the world? What?
Wow, you'd never believe it, would you?
I personally could knock me over with a feather.
What? No way! No, I've got to send you this thing actually, I've got to find it. I'll find it on my phone and read it out. And I thought it was quite funny, especially in the lights of the fact that we just had the Commonwealth Games, which, as somebody who was part of a former English colony, I have mixed feelings about. But I have mixed feelings about, but I think, and okay, this is what was said to me. It says, the most common national celebration on Earth is actually a holiday shared by 65 different countries on different days in each country on an annual basis, averaging out to being celebrated somewhere on the planet every 6 days. Independence from the British.
Wow. Well, there you go. See.
Yeah. So every 6 days, a country celebrates getting independence from the British. But anyway, and that's the political section of the thing.
I think we were probably the first to start that. I think we were probably the first to start
colonizing,
giving countries independence. Yeah. So, but can you tell me who was the last? That's an interesting one for you.
Well, the last country to give another country independence?
Yes. The last country to start giving their overseas territories independence.
Belgium.
No,
Belgium.
That was Congo was Belgium.
Yeah, because King Leopold, what he did, that guy was a...
Wow. That was awful, yeah. No, I'll tell you, because otherwise we're going for ages. It was actually Portugal. In 1976, they finally gave up on... I think it was
well, you say that, but there is what they call the Chagos Islands or the Chagos Islands
All right. Okay.
are still a British colony.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So
You say that the Chagos Islands are still a British colony off the coast.
do they want to be? Do they want to be? That's the thing. Because I know there's some. It's like French. Some of the French colonies. They want to stay.
No. I'll tell you what happened, because the Chagos Islands, the British took over it and they kicked off all the native people because they wanted to use the island as a military base.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
the Chagos, there's actually a massive campaign at the moment where the Chagos Islanders are trying to get the island back, because you have Chagos Islanders all around the world who are not allowed to go back because it's a British base. Their entire home has been turned into a British base. And so they have like a football team, but they can't actually go there. And there's a thing on the BBC. Wow. If you look it up, Chagos Islands. And they're saying, oh, we can't let it go because it's too strategic, and so there's a whole thing. So yeah, they're still an active British colony where the people don't want it. People don't want it to be. But anyway, no.
Okay.
I'm trying to say,
that's okay.
I'm trying to stop the political section of the podcast because I can go on. I can go on, and let's go and talk about something that is totally like in the direct opposite of this thing, and let's talk about luck on Apple TV Plus. Now, Apple TV Plus, obviously, they've been doing the whole thing, and they've been trying to get all sorts of different things going on. They're trying to get the kids' shows going, and this is them, essentially, Apple TV's first go at trying to do something in the Pixar realm of things. So they're essentially going, we want some of that Pixar love. We want some of that. And so they've got John Lasseter on board. John Lasseter, who set up Pixar, he directed the first Toy Story, or the first two Toy Stories, and he left Pixar under a bit of a cloud where there was some stuff where it was like a sexual harassment suit, which when I read the thing boiled down to he hugged people too much. And so he left Pixar so that it wouldn't, but now he's back and working in animation. And so in this film, this is one of those films where you have a lady in the film called Sam, and she's an orphan. She's been in orphanages. She's 18 years old, so she's about to sort of like age out of the system, so to say. And she is like the unluckiest person in the world. If there's anything bad that can happen, it happens to her. And so that's why she's when she was going to find her, when somebody was going to come adopt her, on the day of the adoption, they sort of pulled on and said, sorry, no, we're not going to do it anymore. She sort of like tries to do a dance while being filmed, and everything falls on top of her head. She goes to her house and she's trying to get she's trying to go to her first day at work, and her alarm doesn't go off right. And when she gets into a bicycle, there's a flat tire, and so she just has to deal with a whole bunch of bad luck. But she has a younger friend called Hazel, who is Sam is 18. Hazel looked like maybe she's about 10, and she's also in the orphanage, and she's looking to get adopted. And all Sam wants in the whole world is for Hazel to have some good luck, and for Hazel to not have the bad luck she has, and to find her forever family. So one day Sam is sat down somewhere. A black cat comes along. She shares a sandwich with the black cat. And then when the cat walks off, the whole thing of find a penny, pick it up, all day long, you have good luck.
Good luck, yeah.
She finds a penny, she picks it up, and then the next morning when she wakes up, everything goes perfectly. So she's the kind of person where usually she tries to get her toaster to work, and toaster doesn't work. When toaster eventually works, she butters the side of the toast, and then the toast always lands, like the toast flies across the room, lands jam side up on the wall, flows down the wall, lands jam side on the floor and everything. But the next day when she has this penny, she does the toaster works. She gets the toast falls out of her hand, but when the toast falls out of her hand, it actually sort of lands perfectly with the non-jam side down on the plate. Then she sort of like flips, hits the plate lands directly in the dishwasher, the toast lands in her hand, and she realizes, oh my god, this really is a lucky penny, it's a brilliant lucky penny. But then, which unfortunately through a contrived series of circumstances, she flushes down the toilet. Then she finds the black cat, and she's just talking to the black cat going, oh my god, I lost the lucky penny. And the black cat turns to her and goes, what do you mean you lost my penny? And she's like, oh, you can talk? And so then it turns out through a whole thing that this cat is actually a lucky cat and lives in the land of luck. And the land of luck is, so think Monsters Inc., where you have a monsters world, and there's a whole other world called the land of luck where you go in there, and she sort of sneaks into the land of luck after the cat, and she's like, I'm not leaving until I get a lucky penny because I want to give a lucky penny to my friend Hazel so that she can get adopted. So on and so forth. There's a lot of plot for a kid's movie in there. And so it becomes this quest to find a lucky penny in the land of luck to take it back to the and then you go in there, you find out about the land of luck. The land of luck is populated almost exclusively with. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do it so that it's lucky creatures from different cultures, or the kind of cultures that the kind of creatures different cultures seem to be lucky. There's a whole bunch of leprechauns there. There's a whole bunch of leprechauns. There's a wish dragon, which I know is a Chinese thing. There's a whole bunch of pigs. I don't know which culture sees pigs as lucky or sees
maybe Vietnamese.
Maybe, and there's a whole bunch of rabbits as well. And I just realized rabbit's foot. I just realized rabbit's foot. So there's a whole bunch of rabbits and in there. And you have, when they go into the land of luck, there's just, I think it's overly complicated. It's not like, when you had Monsters Inc. and it was easy saying, okay, this is what goes on, blah, 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 blah. But there's so much stuff that they explain about good luck and bad luck, and you put it in the randomizer, and you spin it around, and you go to bad luck, and bad luck, everything works the opposite. And you kind of get lost, and they try and make it a big part of the film, but you're like, I'm just gonna ignore that, and they come on to a point where the action starts going again, and it goes on, and I think the longer it goes on, the more generic it becomes, and it's all right. It's all right. It's made for kids, and it's made for kids. Like, how you can say, like, in Pixar, it's made for kids, but there's usually like a dual layer where there's a layer that kids get and there's a layer that only adults get. This doesn't quite have that. I think it's made for kids in sort of like a simple layer. The bit that's supposed to be for adults might be about, like, they have this section in bad luck, and there's a whole section about dog poop. Holly says pigs are lucky in Germany and Scandinavia. So and this whole section about dog poop, and like they talk about, okay, dog poop, I've tracked it in the house, and it's all right. But I think in the end I'll give it a 3. I think the strongest bit of the storyline is the fact that this person, all they want in life is for something good to happen for her friend. And I think that bit is actually quite affecting. It's quite affecting the rest of it. But the cast, it's got Simon Pegg. He voices the Black Cat. You've got Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda voices a wish dragon. The one thing is that even though I'm not Irish, the accents of the leprechauns are terrible. Are terrible. I mean, and especially because there's a bit where they have these two female leprechauns and they're having a chat and they're talking about, we all know Saoirse Ronan, right? And Saoirse Ronan has been in the public eye long enough and been nominated for enough awards for everybody, even though I remember the first time I ever saw the name and I was trying to pronounce it, I was like, Soares? But eventually, that it's Saoirse. It's pronounced Saoirse. And the fact that this is a film that has obviously had money put in it, has been made by Apple, and they totally murderized the pronunciation of Saoirse, makes me go, you could have done that better. you could have done as just like be better. But the Irish accents are terrible because I think only one Irish person actually voices a leprechaun. The rest are just voice actors, like well-known voice actors like Grey DeLise, who can't do Irish. They do like weird American ideas of what an Irish accent is, and bad. So all in all, I'll give Luck 3. I think it's good. It's a distracting enough watch. I watched it with my daughter because you needed something nice, bright, and colorful to make her sort of chill for a while. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, it's all right. So 3 stars for Luck. And now, okay, let's do this first. Who do you think has won this week? Because we have had cinema, and we've had Netflix, and we've had 1 representation from cinema, but we've also had 3 representations from Netflix and Friends. But who do we think has won this week overall?
I reckon it could be a tie. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it might be a tie.
I think it's a very slight win for cinema. Slight
win for cinema. So Holly, you say slight win for cinema. Shaun, you say a tie.
Yeah, this is decimal. We're down to decimal points.
I would give you I would tell you guys both that you are both right. It is very, very, very close. But in the binary world where there's winners and losers, I have to let you know that this week Shaun gets it. It is a dead tie.
Wow.
It's a dead tie because we have an average. Shaun, you and I gave Nope 3.5, and we've given The War on 1812 4, given Raw 3.5, and given Luck 3. It comes to an average of 3.5.
Wow.
Because so this week we have a dead tie. All right, so now we get over to Prey. We spoke about Prey last week.
Yes.
We spoke about Prey. Shaun and I spoke about Prey last week. And and we gave our review of it and talking about it on Disney Plus and everything like that. And now it's up to you guys to give us your feedback. What did you think of Prey?
Right, I'm going to hand over to Shaun first.
Okay.
And I'll just shout over him when I disagree. Or
Right. Okay. Or agree, or maybe agree. Okay. Yes, a really, really intriguing movie. This it was. I mean, to me, out of all the First Nations or the American tribes, whatever you want to call them, the Comanches always really, really interest me because they were the most feared, they were the most ruthless, they were probably the biggest nation, and they were not noted for being particularly nice and very, very warlike. So I could understand that culture. And I thought the story went really well because it was quite convincing, because obviously a society where it's male-dominated society is one, and like we're going back to the raw, like the ladies look after the domestic things,
stuff,
the cooking and making clothes and things. And she's really different, and she's not quite accepted, is she? She sort of is by some of them, but it's not an accepted thing that you've got this. And she is smart. She is smart, and I really like the swamp scene. So yeah, I really quite enjoyed it. I thought that she perhaps got away a little bit sometimes. I mean, I think there was there was a lot of distractions for. We know what sort of film it is, don't we? Know what the canon is, or is that spoiled?
Yeah. No,
okay, so
we know it's a Predator film.
Okay, so Predator. So the Predator sort of concentrates on one thing and then gets rather easily distracted on other things, which I know can happen. But I mean, because we just got to be quick. But I thought it was okay. It was pretty good. I didn't have too many beefs with it, and I thought she acted really well, and I thought it was quite clever how it was thought out, and not too much in the way of silliness. And when some of the other First Nation people got involved, or the other Comanches got involved, it did sort of make a bit of sense, because you think, right, okay, this is it, and then So I thought this was okay. It's a decent movie.
Good stuff. Good. Nice to hear that, because I totally agree with all of that. Although I have to say, the one thing I didn't mention it last week, but one thing that from the first time it showed up in the film, and I kept looking at it, I was looking at it thinking that dog was too well groomed. I don't know what make the dog is, but it did make me think in 1719. Did they have a dog pamper or something? Because that dog's coat looked too shiny. It looked too well groomed. It looked like it had a haircut or something. And I just each time the dog showed up, I kept thinking the dog looks too modern. But anyway.
The dog, and also that was one thing I picked up, which I don't normally pick up, is the dog was looking at obviously its wrangle or whatever looked after. I could see it looking at it and thinking, like, oh, what do I do next? Am I doing the right thing? But I mean.
Apart from that, I love the way they use the dog, but I just thought the dog was a little bit too groomed. Anyway, Holly.
I would say I was very emotionally invested in the dog, as is typical. I had a lot of concerns for the dog.
You're the reason they keep saving the dog in movies. You're the reason.
Well, I still remember the first time I saw Dances with Wolves when I was 10 in a drive-in in Zimbabwe, and we had our dog in the car, and I was made to cover my eyes for all the people dying, but I wasn't told to cover my eyes when the wolf dies. And I didn't give up an expletive about the people. They were, but oh my word, I love that wolf. And so yes, I had great emotional attachment to the dog. And to be fair, coyotes are very well generally look pretty presentable, so I think it's not beyond the wit of man that you could have a reasonably presentable semi-wild. No, I thought it hung together well. Thought it stuck with its with its roots well enough, but wasn't annoying in the way it did it. And I thought it was a decent watch. That would conceivably stick on again in the background if I were doing something else.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, sorry, Shaun.
I've just got to say one thing, right, and I know this is going back to the dogs, right? And I think we said this on one of our... Remember we used to do, they don't make them like they used to.
Well, we did, they don't make them like they used to,
right, okay, it must have been about 4 or 5, but I remember there was this film called The Legend of Lobo, and Lobo's mother gets shot, apparently. I mean, I can't even... There is the film, but I can't really remember that. But all they
Yeah.
said was, I went, "They shot her," and burst into tears and screamed the place down. And in the end, my dad had to take me outside because I was so upset so traumatized by, The Legend of Lobo. So I might have to watch that again and review that. That'd be funny.
People be damned. It's all about the animals. Amazing the things.
Okay, I'll tell you, okay. One of my absolute bugbears is in a film. Whenever you have a film where a human dies because they're trying to save a dog.
Oh yeah.
That gets up my nose. It's like I remember in Man of Steel. Man of Steel.
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, good Lord!
Why would you do that? That's my way. Why?
And I know. I live in a country where it is not acceptable to have this point of view. But I'm like, let the dog die.
Oh, no.
There's a hurricane coming. Save yourself, you idiot. Why are you going back and dying because the dog might die?
I have a plan if there's a fire as to how I get the cats out of our second floor apartment, which includes shoving them in rucksacks, which will not go down well with anybody, but I know how we'll do it.
But anyway, so we all agreed. We all agreed. Liked Prey. We all liked Prey and thought it worked quite well. So Shaun, I'll tell you one thing that I was wondering whether you would be okay with, or whether you think the final way in which the final way in which Naru.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was wondering whether you were okay with it, or whether you would think, hang on a second.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I could understand the logic behind it. Yeah. But yeah, you shouldn't have mentioned that to me now, because now I'm thinking about it. So you should have kept that. That had escaped. That had escaped me.
That would escape you.
I pondered that, and I felt actually it followed on well from the structure of what we'd seen so far. I thought it hung together very well.
Yep. Yeah, I think it does, but there was a little bit of a question about. Okay, fine. Fine. It's I guess you might not have known. Okay, fine. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I think we have got ourselves to the end of today's episode. We have got a little bit of a marathon recording session because I have paid for Zoom and they didn't kick us off halfway through. So it is. And also we actually broadcasting this live on Facebook, on our Facebook page at the moment. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I think that is it for the end of the show. So, all that's left to say, I believe, is a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to all of those who have got in touch with us on Facebook. I mean, on YouTube, that's the one. Everyone who have come to us on YouTube and have said things about different things that we have reviewed. Please keep it going. And let's see whether we can get another thing where we just sort of like annoy the whole world, or have the whole world agreeing with us like we did with Persuasion. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.
Bye.